Bridge County Sheriff.
Keep your hands where I can see them.
State your badge number again.
Now tell me you're innocent.
Look what we found.
Record the exact time.
Did you see that?
The officer leaned into the window and smiled as the crowd watched him drop a tiny bag into the black woman's purse. "Now, tell me you're innocent," he said. She kept both hands where he could see them, her voice barely above the rain, while her phone lit up with missed calls from her daughter. Why didn't she fight back? Why did she keep asking him to say his badge number again? And why did the quiet red light on her jacket never stop blinking? By sunrise, that traffic stop would pull a whole department into a courtroom, expose a secret he never saw coming, and turn one silent recording into the proof no one could ignore. Rain struck the windshield, breaking police lights into red and blue lines across Maya Ellison's hands. "Step out of the vehicle," Officer Travis Doyle said. Maya kept her fingers on the wheel. "I will. Please state your name and badge number first." His smile tightened. Across the road, 3 people sat frozen behind the diner window. Under the awning, a waitress in a green apron watched with a trash bag against her hip. "You hear that, Brooks?" Doyle called. "She's already giving instructions." The younger officer by the cruiser shifted. "Maybe we should keep this routine." "I didn't ask you." Doyle leaned closer. "Travis Doyle, badge 4172. Unlock the door." Maya pressed the button. The lock clicked louder than the rain. Cold went through her jacket as she stepped out. A small red light near the seam blinked against wet fabric. Doyle's eyes passed over it and fixed on the purse on her passenger seat. Hands on the hood. The hood is wet. Hands on the hood. She placed both palms on slick metal. Water gathered around her fingers. Behind the glass, one man lowered his face to his cup. Doyle opened the passenger door. "Anything in here I need to know about?" "No." "You sure?" "Yes." He set her purse on the hood. Her keys landed with a dull tap. Her phone lit up inside the open bag. Naomi calling. "You can answer after we finish," Doyle said. "She may need me. She'll manage." The call died. The dark screen looked smaller than it should have. Doyle's gloved hand moved inside the purse. It paused near his left sleeve. Maya heard a plastic whisper before a tiny bag appeared between his fingers. "Well, well." He lifted it for the rookie. "What do we have here?" Maya did not turn her head. "I want the exact time noted." Doyle laughed once. "You want the time noted?" "Yes. It's 8:43 p.m. The waitress's trash bag slipped from her hand and hit the pavement with a wet slap. She had seen his fingers close before they opened. She looked toward Brooks. The rookie stared at the bag. His jaw moved, but no words came. "Officer Brooks," Maya said, "did you observe that item before Officer Doyle searched my purse?" Doyle stepped in front of her. "Don't talk to him. I asked a question. And I gave an order." He reached for her wrist. The cuff was cold enough to make her fingers stiffen, but she did not pull away. The red light on her jacket blinked again, reflected in a bead of rain beside the plastic bag. "You're under arrest for possession," Doyle said, loud enough for the diner and tow truck. "Anything you say can be used against you. Maya turned enough to see his badge. Then write down everything I say. Brooks opened the rear door. Ma'am, he murmured. Watch your head. Doyle shot him a look. Save the manners. Maya sat inside with rainwater running from her sleeves onto the vinyl seat. Through the fogging glass, Doyle sealed the bag in an evidence envelope and signed his name. Brooks held the clipboard, but did not sign. Her phone, still on the hood, lit up again. Naomi calling. No one answered. At 8:51 p.m., the cruiser pulled away. In the side mirror, the diner's neon sign blurred into a red smear, and beneath Maya's wet jacket, the little light kept blinking into the dark. At 6:12 a.m., Maya Ellison turned the courthouse mug so the cracked handle faced away from her sleeve. Steam rose from black coffee in her kitchen. The November window showed her reflection. Gray sweater, dark rain jacket on the chair, curls pinned low, eyes that had slept less than the clock claimed. Her phone buzzed beside an old photograph. Naomi. Maya answered. You're awake early. I could say the same thing. Traffic hissed behind Naomi's voice. Dinner tonight, 7:30. You promised. I remember. You say that like a witness under oath. Then I'll amend it. I intend to appear. That made Maya look at the photograph. Her father stood on courthouse steps in his deputy's uniform, one hand on 12-year-old Maya's shoulder. I may be late, Maya said. How late? Not late enough to miss your pie. You hate my pie. I respect its ambition. Naomi laughed, then went quiet. Is this about Greyhaven? Maya slid the photograph into the inside pocket of her rain jacket. The paper brushed the body camera sewn near the seam. It's a routine review. You only call something routine when it isn't. If I don't answer right away today, don't panic. That is a terrible way to make someone not panic. I'm going to observe, ask questions, and come home. Are you taking security? No. If they see a state car, they change their behavior. Tell me the truth. Is someone planting evidence? Maya folded a napkin. There are complaints. Same officer. Same wording. Same search pattern. A knock sounded. Victor Hale stood in the doorway. 55. Deputy Director of the State Integrity Office. Silver beard wet from rain. Tan folder under his arm. You ready? He asked. Naomi heard him. Is that Mr. Hale? Put me on speaker. Maya did. Good morning, Naomi, Victor said. Don't let her do anything heroic. She prefers reckless with paperwork. Maya took the folder. Both of you are finished. Victor stepped inside, bringing cold air and wet wool. Greyhaven moved 2 case files off the shared server last night. Maya stopped with one hand on the jacket. Naomi's voice tightened. What does that mean? It means, Maya said, someone knows questions are coming. Victor opened the folder. Photocopied arrest reports lay inside. One line was circled in blue on each page. Subject consented to search after visible nervousness. Same sentence, Victor said. 7 arrests, 3 dismissed quietly, 4 still carrying records. Maya touched the copied words. The paper was grainy while rain tapped the glass. Naomi whispered. Granddad would tell you to call backup. Your grandfather would tell me to write down what I saw. She lifted the rain jacket and checked the red indicator hidden near the seam. It blinked once against her thumb. Victor watched from the doorway. You can still send Rachel. If Rachel walks in, they perform. If I walk in, they assume. Assume what? Maya zipped the jacket to her throat. The photograph settled flat against her ribs. That I'm someone they don't have to explain themselves to. Her phone buzzed. Dinner with Naomi, 7:30 p.m. Maya turned it face down, picked up her keys, and stepped into the hall while the little red light warmed beneath her coat. By 7:04 a.m., Greyhaven Police Department smelled of burnt coffee, bleach, and wet wool on chairbacks. Officer Travis Doyle stood in the break room with one boot on the cabinet and a foam cup in his hand. Another beautiful day in paradise. Rookie Ethan Brooks looked up from the printer. Paradise has a leak over booking. That's character. Records clerk June Patel wiped sugar from the counter. She was 34, small-framed, with square glasses and a habit of reading every page twice. 3 complaint requests came in for Sergeant Keene. Doyle's cup stopped. Again? Same mailbox, state portal copies. Print them wrong. That isn't a setting. Sergeant Mallory Keene entered with a tablet. 46, sharp bob behind one ear, wedding ring turned inward. She moved like every hallway belonged to her. Why do I hear complaint before coffee? June set a tan folder on the table. A dark coffee ring stained the cover, swallowing the label corner. Doyle/search conduct. Doyle pointed at it. Even the folder knows it's trash. Keene opened it. Her thumb stopped on the first page. Ethan saw the line circled in yellow. Subject consented to search after visible nervousness. That's standard language, Doyle said. 7 times? June asked. Keene looked at her. You counting now? I file what comes through. You file, you don't interpret. The door swung shut behind 2 patrolmen. Ethan picked up reports but held them too long. Doyle leaned close. You got something, kid? No, sir. Good. People who complain forgot what they carried. June twisted the wet paper towel in her hand. One woman said her purse was searched before consent. People say a lot when they get caught. Keene closed the folder without moving the cup. The ring darkened into the cardboard. Travis, she said, watch your language on calls. State likes audio now. State likes sitting in buildings. We do the work. And we protect the department while doing it. She slid the folder toward her tablet. Brooks, you ride with Doyle tonight. Ethan looked up. Tonight? 2-man car, West Corridor, Diner Row, Pharmacy Lot, Bypass. Doyle grinned. Lucky you. Ethan tried to answer, but the printer jammed. June opened the tray. There's a missing upload from last Friday. Doyle stopped grinning. What upload? Bodycam file. Traffic stop on Marsh Road. Placeholder. No video. Keene's eyes moved to Doyle, then back. Server's been unstable. It's only unstable around some stops. No one spoke. The soda machine hummed. Keene lifted the folder, coffee ring and all. June, send me the request log. Not the complaints. The log. That won't answer what they asked for. It will answer what I asked for. Doyle tossed his cup into the trash. I'll clean up the West Corridor tonight. Ethan followed him into the hall. Cold tile carried every footstep. At the lockers, Doyle took out black gloves. Lesson 1. People respect certainty. You hesitate, they eat you alive. What if we're wrong? Doyle turned slowly. Then we write better. From the records window, June watched them leave. Keene's office door clicked shut behind the stained folder, but the coffee ring had left a second mark on the table, almost hidden. At 8:27 p.m., Maya parked near the Greyhaven station and watched the back door through rain. Across the street, the diner sign buzzed pink. The old pharmacy sat dark beside it, windows taped with lease papers. A patrol cruiser rolled past. Maya counted to 10, then pulled out. The red light under her jacket seam blinked once against the wheel. Behind her, the cruiser turned. Blue lights flashed before she reached the pharmacy lot. She eased onto the shoulder, killed the engine, and placed both hands where the windshield could see them. Doyle stepped out first. Rain shone on his cap. Ethan Brooks came around the other side, eyes moving from Maya to the storefronts. Doyle tapped the glass. Window down. Maya lowered it. Cold rain crossed her cheek. License, registration, insurance. May I ask why I was stopped? Rear light issue. It was working when I left Charleston. Lights fail. People lie. Documents. His voice carried toward the diner awning. A waitress in a green apron paused with a trash bag. Two men by the door stopped smoking. Maya reached slowly. My wallet is in my purse. Right hand. Don't narrate. I am narrating for clarity. Doyle bent lower. You always talk like that? When a record matters. Ethan looked toward the bumper. Her light looks on from here. Doyle did not turn. Stand behind the car and learn. Maya handed over the license. Maya Ellison, he read. You from around here? State business. What kind? Personal, at the moment. He smiled. That why you circled our station? Rain slid from Maya's sleeve into her palm. I drove on public roads, she said. You drove past our lot twice. Then your cameras will show that. Doyle raised his voice. Ma'am, step out. For a rear light? For officer safety. Ethan shifted. Sir, we could run the plate first. We could, if I wanted advice. Maya unbuckled her seatbelt. The click cut through rain. Before I step out, she said, state your badge number. Doyle looked toward the diner. Hear that? She's conducting court on asphalt. I asked for identification. Officer Travis Doyle, badge 4172. Now open door. Maya opened it herself. Cruiser headlights threw her shadow across the pharmacy wall. A tow truck slowed. The driver, gray-bearded, in a reflective jacket, leaned forward. Doyle noticed him. Keep moving, Marcus. Marcus Vale lifted one hand. Just checking if you called a tow. Did I? No. Then drive. Marcus rolled ahead and stopped again. Doyle turned back to Maya. Hands on the hood. The hood is wet. Hands. On. The hood. She placed them down. Rainwater spread around her fingers, each knuckle white under the lights. Doyle walked toward the passenger door. My purse is closed, Maya said. Now it's part of the stop. For what probable cause? He leaned inside. Visible nervousness. Maya's voice stayed low. Please note that phrase exactly. Ethan looked at the diner window. The waitress had not moved. Her trash bag sagged in her grip. Doyle set the purse on the hood beside Maya's hands. Inside the car, Maya's phone lit against the dark seat. Naomi calling. No one reached for it. The ring pulsed once, twice, and rain ran down Maya's sleeve into her palm. Doyle tipped Maya's purse over with 2 fingers. A wallet, lip balm, folded receipt, and her keys slid across the hood. Rainwater carried the receipt beneath the wiper. The tiny silver key to her father's old desk stopped beside her right hand. Is this necessary? Ethan asked. Doyle didn't look back. Search incident to suspicion. She hasn't been arrested. Then she's cooperating. Maya kept her palms flat on the wet metal. Officer Brooks, please note that I have not consented. Doyle laughed once. She thinks words change facts. From the diner window, Lena Hart pressed both hands to the glass. Her apron was tied crooked. When Doyle opened the inner pocket, Lena saw his left hand dip near his cuff before it came out. A thin plastic sound cut through the rain. Doyle held up a tiny bag. Well, look at that. Maya's eyes moved to the bag, then to her keys beside it on the wet hood. The plastic clung to a bead of water. Her fingers curled once before she flattened them again. That was not in my purse, she said. Everybody says that. I want the exact time recorded. Ethan checked his watch. 8:43. Doyle turned. Did I ask you to help her? No, sir. Then don't. Maya looked at Ethan. Include that Officer Doyle announced the item after opening the inner pocket. Doyle stepped between them. You do not direct my trainee. I'm preserving the record. You're under arrest. The words made Lena's breath fog the glass. A man at the counter lowered his fork and did not pick it up. Doyle took Maya's wrist. The cuff closed with a metallic bite. Cold traveled through her bones, up to the old photograph against her ribs. Her phone glowed on the passenger seat, the name Naomi bright and unanswered. May I call my daughter? No. She expects me home. Then she's about to learn patience. Ethan's face tightened. Maya did not turn toward the diner, but she felt the watching. The neon sign buzzed. Tires hissed on the wet road. Lena stepped out from under the awning. Officer? Doyle snapped his head toward her. Go back inside. I saw. You saw a lawful stop. Her mouth stayed open, but the words stalled when she noticed Ethan looking at the pavement. Maya said quietly, Ma'am, if you saw something, remember the time. Lena swallowed. 8:43. Doyle moved Maya toward the cruiser. Brooks, evidence envelope. Ethan tore one from his clipboard. His thumb hovered over the signature line. Sign, Doyle said. I didn't observe the item before it was found. You observed the recovery. That isn't the same. Doyle's voice dropped. It is tonight. Maya stopped beside the rear door. Officer Brooks, your report belongs to you. Doyle pushed the door open. Get in. She lowered herself onto the vinyl seat. Rainwater dripped from her sleeves onto the floor mat. Through the fogging glass, she saw Doyle place the tiny bag on the hood beside her keys. Her father's desk key flashed under the cruiser lights, small and useless beside the plastic. Ethan signed below Doyle's line, leaving a narrow blank space above his name. Doyle sealed the envelope. Naomi's third call lit Maya's phone blue. He looked at the screen, smirked, and turned it face down on the hood. The cruiser door opened to the smell of damp vinyl and floor cleaner. Out, Doyle said. Maya stepped onto the station ramp at 9:08 p.m. Rain tapped the rail. Her wrists were cuffed behind her, and each movement pulled cold through her sleeves. Ethan reached for her elbow, then stopped. Watch the step, ma'am. Doyle looked back. You keep saying ma'am like she's your aunt. Inside, fluorescent lights drained the walls. The booking desk had a cracked shield, a hissing coffee machine, and a clock that ran 2 minutes slow. Sergeant Mallory Keene came from the hallway. This the stop. Possession, Doyle said. Clean recovery. Maya turned toward Keene. I did not consent to a search. You can write that on intake. I am requesting counsel. You'll get a phone call after booking. My daughter has called 3 times. Then she knows you're busy. Maya kept her chin level, fingers pressed against the cuff chain. June Patel sat behind the records window. She looked up when Doyle dropped the evidence envelope on the counter. Time of arrest? June asked. 8:51. The item was announced at 8:43, Maya said. Doyle leaned toward the glass. Don't log commentary. June's fingers hovered over the keyboard. I asked time of arrest. Ethan shifted by the door. The stop began around 8:31. Brooks, Keene said, finish vehicle inventory. Maya watched him leave with her phone in a clear tray. The screen lit before the booking door shut. Naomi calling. Keene nodded toward the corridor. Bench 3. Counsel, Maya said again. After booking. Then please record that I asked twice. Doyle laughed. She records everything. Maya looked at him. People should. They placed Maya in a room with beige walls and a steel bench bolted to the floor. The cold came through her damp trousers. A camera watched from the corner. Beneath it, a vent pushed dusty air. Doyle chained her right wrist to the bench rail. Comfortable? No. Good. When he left, the latch clicked with a sound too soft for what it took away. Minutes passed in fluorescent hum. Water from Maya's jacket dripped onto the floor. The old photograph of her father bent against her ribs. Through the narrow window, she saw June pull one screen closer. Keene entered behind her. "Why are you still on that stop?" June lowered her voice. Bodycam registry shows Doyle activated at 8:29. So? His narrative says initial contact was 8:40. Dispatch logged him clear at 8:26. Brooks said 8:31. Fix the narrative later. I can't fix timestamps. You can avoid creating a problem before we know there is one. Doyle came back with a paper cup and set it beyond Maya's reach. "Sorry," he said, hands tied. Maya looked at the cup. "You missed your own camera time." His smile faded. "What?" "The clock above booking is slow. Dispatch is not." The hallway went quiet. Doyle picked up the cup and placed it beside Maya's knee. "Sergeant," he said, "this is a simple detention." Keene looked from the cup to Maya's wet sleeves. "Then keep it simple." But when the door closed again, June opened a second window, and 3 mismatched times glowed in the dark glass. At 7:18 a.m., the false report came warm from the station copier. June Patel lifted it before Doyle could. The paper smelled of toner and burnt coffee. One sentence sat in the center. Subject granted verbal consent after visible nervousness. "She did not," Ethan said. Doyle tightened his belt. "You rewriting my memory now?" "I want my supplement attached." "You want to survive probation?" Sergeant Keene stepped out with a tablet. The report goes up as filed. Brooks, add lighting and weather. I can add that I did not observe consent. Keene's eyes held on him. Lighting and weather. Behind the booking glass, Maya sat without her jacket, wrists marked by cuffs. The steel bench had left a cold line across her back. "The stop began earlier," she said. Doyle turned. "You don't edit from the bench." "I remember from the bench." Keene tapped the glass. "Your bond hearing will be scheduled. Until then, stop performing." The television above the desk flickered on. Nora King stood outside the closed pharmacy, silver streak cutting through her dark bob. Greyhaven police confirmed that a Charleston woman was arrested last night during a narcotics stop near Diner Row. Maya's name appeared under a blurred plate. Ethan stared. "They released that?" "Public record," Doyle said. Officials described the suspect as uncooperative. Nora continued. Maya closed her eyes for one breath. Then the lobby door slammed. Naomi Ellison stood in a gray coat, holding the old photograph of her grandfather so tightly one corner had folded white. "I'm here for Maya Ellison," she said. Keene moved first. "Family visits are not available. I'm her daughter." "Then call the clerk." "She has not been allowed a call." Doyle leaned on the counter. "She had opportunities." Naomi saw Maya through the glass. Her mouth shaped Mom before sound came. She pressed the photograph to the shield. Maya stood. "Naomi, listen to me." Keene stepped between them. "Do not approach the secured area." "She's my mother. And she's in custody." Naomi's fingers shook against the photo. Her grandfather smiled in uniform, one hand on young Maya's shoulder. The fold cut across his chest. "Officer Doyle," Naomi said, "did you search her purse before or after consent?" His grin thinned. Cute? Law school? Public policy? Close enough to be annoying. Maya's voice stayed low. Naomi, call Victor Hale. I did. He's not answering. Call Rachel Boone. Use the second number. Keene reached for the lobby release. We're done. No, Naomi said. You don't get to make her disappear behind glass. The room shifted. June looked at the report. Ethan looked at his boots. A patrolman turned the TV down, but Nora's last line still carried. Questions remain about the timing of the arrest and the department's evidence procedures. Keene opened the inner door to block the hall. Leave now, or I will have you removed. Naomi looked only at Maya. Did they hurt you? No. Did they lie? Maya's gaze dropped to the folded photograph. Write down every name you heard. Keene shut the door. The lock clicked. Naomi stayed on the other side with the picture flat against the glass, the folded corner covering the badge on her grandfather's chest. The evidence room smelled of cardboard, dust, and rubber gloves. At 7:46 a.m., Paul Renner unlocked the gray door with a key ring heavy enough to pull his belt sideways. He was 52, with a hearing aid that whistled when he bent. Bagged clothing, Doyle said, dropping the clear package on the counter. Inside the plastic, Maya's dark rain jacket lay folded wrong. A faint red glow pulsed under the lining, then vanished beneath a crease. Paul adjusted his glasses. Is there electronics in this? Button. Stitching. Who cares? If it's electronic, it needs notation. It's a wet jacket, Paul. Ethan stood by the lockers with Maya's phone tray. Naomi's missed calls sat hidden behind the passcode. Paul lifted the bag. The red point appeared again. That's a light, Ethan said. Doyle turned. It's a reflection. From what? The universe. Sign the chain. He slid the clipboard across. Item 4 read, Black rain jacket, seized during lawful arrest. Ethan's pen hovered above the empty witness line. Through the wall vent came Maya's voice. I am requesting that all seized property be preserved. Keene answered, It is being preserved. Without alteration. Doyle rolled his eyes. She thinks this is a movie. Paul wrote slowly. Wet garment. Interior seam irregularity observed. Doyle snatched the pen. No, you don't editorialize evidence. It's a condition note. It's junk. Paul looked at Ethan. Did you see the seam? Ethan swallowed. I saw a light. Doyle's hand hit the clipboard. The sound cracked against the counter. You saw weather glare, station glare. Nothing useful unless I ask you. Keene appeared at the doorway. What is taking so long? Renner wants to make the jacket famous, Doyle said. Paul raised both hands. I log what comes in. Keene stepped close enough for her perfume to cut through the dust. Log it fast. Chain of custody. Shelf. Done. Ethan looked at the clear bag. Beneath the plastic, the red light blinked once more and painted a dot on his thumbnail. He signed, but beside his name he wrote, Received sealed, light visible underlining. Doyle saw it before the ink dried. Scratch that out. No. Keene's jaw moved. Officer Brooks. I'll amend if evidence confirms reflection. Doyle's face lost its easy smile. You are not that smart. Maya's jacket went into locker B-17. Paul turned the key and taped the slot. The red dot disappeared behind gray steel. In the holding room, June passed Maya a property form through the narrow slot. Your jacket is logged, June said. With electronics noted? June's fingers tightened on the paper. I'm not supposed to discuss property. That wasn't my question. A footstep sounded behind June. She straightened. Maya took the form. On the third line, Paul's handwriting had been covered by a darker pen stroke, but one phrase survived. light visible. For the first time since the cuffs, Maya let her thumb rest on the paper. Outside, Ethan carried a copy of the chain log toward records. Halfway down the corridor, Doyle called his name. "Brooks." Ethan stopped. Doyle held out his hand. "Give me that copy." Ethan folded the paper once, too slowly, and behind the records window, June watched where he chose to put it. At 9:36 a.m., Ethan slid the folded chain log under the records counter with 2 fingers. June did not touch it until Doyle's boots faded down the hall. The paper edge rested against her keyboard, soft from his damp sleeve. She covered it with citations. "You didn't get this from me," Ethan said. "I didn't get anything." His collar was crooked. June moved the receipt printer aside. "Did you see him put the bag in her purse?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "I saw his hand where it shouldn't have been." "That is not the same answer. It is the only one I can say in this building." A holding room door shut with a metal clap. June waited until Ethan left, then opened 3 windows: dispatch log, Bodycam registry, tow queue. The times did not line up. Dispatch placed Doyle near the pharmacy at 8:29 p.m. His report said first contact at 8:40. The tow system showed Marcus Vale slowing past at 8:38 before Doyle claimed the stop had begun. June printed all 3. The printer dragged paper through with a dry rasp. She circled 8:29, 8:38, and 8:40 in ink. The circles looked too bright under the fluorescent light. Keene's office door opened. June slid the pages into a folder and wrote "Supply Order" on the tab. Across town, Lena Hart wiped the same table for the 4th time. The diner smelled of onions, coffee, and wet coats. Her manager watched the morning news with the sound low. "That stop last night," he said. "You were outside. I was taking trash. You didn't see trouble." Lena's cloth stopped. "Police eat here," he said. Her hand went to her apron pocket. The video was only 12 seconds. Doyle's sleeve, the purse, the tiny bag appearing after the plastic whisper. Not perfect. Not useless. "I need air." Behind the diner, rainwater dripped from a rusted gutter into a bucket. The alley smelled of grease and cold brick. Her thumb shook as she dialed the number Naomi had left on a napkin. "This is Naomi." "My name is Lena. I was at the diner." Naomi's breath caught. "Did you see it?" "I saw enough." "Can you send it?" "Not with my name." "Lena, I have rent due Friday. My mother has dialysis. I'm not brave. I'm just not blind." A pause. Then Naomi said, "You don't have to be brave out loud." Water struck the bucket behind Lena, one drop after another. "I'll send it from a number they don't know," Lena said. "But if they ask, I was inside." "I understand." "No, you don't." Lena wiped her cheek with her wrist. "Your mother told me to remember the time. It was 8:43. At 10:12, Naomi sat in her parked car outside the station, the folded photograph on the passenger seat. Her phone buzzed with a file. The video was shaky, streaked with diner glass and rain, but the motion was there. She watched it once, then again. On the 3rd time, she saw Ethan looking down instead of at the purse. Naomi dialed Victor Hale. No answer. She dialed Rachel Boone's 2nd number. Inside records, June scanned the folder labeled Supply Order and saved it to a private draft. Before she could close the window, an alert flashed. Bodycam item B-. 17 requested for transfer. Requested by T. Doyle. June stared at the circles until the ink seemed to pulse. At 10:18 a.m., Rachel Boone's secure line began to ring. Rachel Boone answered on the 4th ring. "This line is recorded," she said. Naomi sat outside the station, rain turning the building into a blur. My name is Naomi Ellison. Maya Ellison is my mother. She told me to call your second number. A chair scraped. Where is she? In Greyhaven custody. They say possession. Who arrested her? Officer Travis Doyle. For 1 second, the line held only office static. Send me everything, Rachel said. Do not go back inside. I have video from a waitress, and my mother's jacket is in evidence. What kind of jacket? Naomi looked at the folded photograph. The one with the camera. Victor Hale stood in the integrity office with cold coffee beside his legal pad. Rachel came in without knocking, rain dark on her shoulders. Greyhaven, she said. Victor lowered his glasses. Maya? Arrested by Doyle. Possible planted evidence. Where's the Bodycam feed? Server shows patrol uploads only. Her jacket was logged in B-17. She wore the secondary unit. Rachel put Naomi on speaker. A laptop chimed. 12 seconds filled the screen. Diner glass, rain, wet hood, Doyle's sleeve dipping near the purse. The tiny bag appeared after his hand moved away. Victor watched twice. Not enough alone. No, Rachel said, but enough to freeze the room. He turned to an investigator. Preservation order. Locker B-17. Pull dispatch clock. Tow queue. Evidence logs. And every Doyle search report with that consent sentence. In holding, Maya sat with a paper cup of water Keene had allowed. The rim softened under her thumb. Doyle opened the door. Bond hearing moved to tomorrow. Why? Busy court. Or busy paperwork. He smiled. You really think someone's coming? I think records do. You don't have your phone, your jacket, or a badge in here. She set the cup down. Then you should feel safe. His smile went flat. Keene found June at the scanner. What are you uploading? Supply forms. To a draft? The server froze. Keene stepped close. Open it. Before June touched the mouse, the wall phone rang. Keene answered, and her posture changed. This is Sergeant Keene. A pause. No, sir. Property transfer is not. Her eyes cut toward Doyle. Understood. She hung up slowly. Doyle said, What? State Integrity issued a preservation order. Nobody touches B-17. The room went thin. Ethan, near the copier, let out a breath. Keene's desk speaker crackled. Maya, Victor said. We have Naomi. We have diner footage. We are locating the jacket file. Good. Do you want us to move only on your case first? Rain ticked against the barred window. Maya looked at the cup, the damp sleeve, the faint cuff marks on her wrists. No, she said. Pull every Doyle search with that same sentence. Start with the people who couldn't afford to fight it. That may keep you there longer. I know. Naomi, still on the line, covered her mouth with the folded photograph. Maya's voice came thinner, but steady. Tell my daughter I heard every missed call. Keene stared at the speaker as if it had become a witness. 11:09. The file from B-17 began downloading in Columbia, while Greyhaven's printer spat out a transfer request Doyle had signed 12 minutes too late. At 2:17 p.m., the courtroom clock clicked louder than the rain on the windows. Maya sat at the defense table in the gray sweater. Her jacket was still evidence, but her father's photo had been returned. She kept it beneath her palm, flat against scarred wood. Colin Reeves, 44, her attorney, leaned close. Judge Mercer will ask if you understand the charge. I understand it. Across the aisle, Doyle sat in uniform. Keene stood near the back wall. All rise. Judge Alana Mercer entered. 58, silver hair pinned tight. The assistant solicitor began at once. Your Honor, this is a straightforward possession case. The officer observed nervous behavior, obtained cooperation, and recovered contraband from the defendant's purse. Maya's thumb moved over the photo. Colin stood. My client did not consent. She asked for counsel and preservation of property. A rear door opened. Victor Hale stepped inside with Rachel Boone and a sealed drive. Judge Mercer looked over her glasses. Mr. Hale, this is not your hearing. No, Your Honor. It is now tied to an integrity preservation order. Victor gave the drive to the clerk. We request review of a recording before any probable cause finding. Source? Seized garment, locker B-17. Logged before a late transfer request. Doyle stood. That jacket was not authorized recording equipment. Mercer said, Sit down, officer. The screen lowered with a dry rattle. Lights dimmed. On the first frame, rain streaked across the view. Maya's purse on the hood, Doyle's sleeve near the zipper, Ethan half-turned toward the diner. The audio crackled. Maya's recorded voice said, Officer Brooks, please note that I have not consented. Doyle answered, She thinks words change facts. His left hand dipped. A plastic whisper passed through the speakers. Then the tiny bag appeared between gloved fingers. Rachel paused the image. No one gasped. The quiet moved through the benches until even the rain seemed to wait outside the glass. Play that again, Mercer said. Victor did. This time, Ethan lowered his head in the frame, and Lena appeared behind diner glass with both hands near her mouth. Maya did not look at Doyle. She pressed harder on the photograph until the corner bent beneath her ring finger. The solicitor stared at his file. Your Honor, the state moves to continue. No, Mercer said. Doyle rose again. That angle is misleading. Officer Doyle, the judge said, one more word without counsel, and I will have you removed. His mouth closed. Mercer turned to Maya. Ms. Ellison, you are released on your own recognizance. The possession charge is suspended pending review. Mr. Hale, preserve all related files. Sergeant Keene, remain available. Keene nodded once. From the second row, Naomi pressed a folded photograph to her lips. Maya saw her and gave the smallest shake of her head, as if to say, Not here. The clerk raised the lights. Chairs scraped softly. Doyle stayed seated, staring at the frozen screen. Victor collected the drive. We need your statement, Maya. You have the recording. We need your words, too. Maya lifted her father's photograph. The bent corner would not lie flat. Then start with the time, she said. 8:43. At 4:32 p.m., the Integrity Office table disappeared beneath old folders. Victor Hale lined them from the window to the door. Blue tabs, coffee stains, 7 names, then 9, then 12. Maya stood at the end with her father's photograph in her pocket. The bent corner still would not lie flat. Rachel Boone opened a recorder. Case review interview. Ellison, Hale, Boone, Officer Brooks present. Ethan held a paper cup he had not touched. Victor said, Start with the purse. Ethan swallowed. Officer Doyle searched before consent. Use the whole sentence. He searched Ms. Ellison's purse after she said she did not consent, and before he announced the item. The cup trembled. Maya looked at the folders instead of him. Rachel asked, Did Sergeant Keene tell you to alter your supplement? She told me to add lighting and weather. Did she tell you not to mention consent? Yes. June Patel entered with a banker's box. Closed complaints. Victor took it. Signed by whom? June looked toward the hallway. Keene. The folders slid out, scraping the table like dry leaves. A retired bus driver waited in the lobby, cap in both hands. Samuel Price was 63, tall but bent at the neck, with silver stubble and a transit badge. He saw Maya. You're the woman from the news. I'm the woman from the stop. Same officer pulled me over 2 years ago. Said I looked nervous. Victor opened a file. What happened? He found pills in my lunch bag. Not mine. My supervisor said fighting would make retirement ugly. Did you file a complaint? My daughter did. That yellow folder. We never heard back. June whispered. Closed as unfounded. Samuel squeezed his cap until the brim bent. I drove 31 years. After that, parents looked through me. Maya lowered her eyes. Will you give a statement? I should have done it then. You're doing it now. Angela Morris arrived before dark, a nurse with tired eyes and a purple lunch tote. I only have 20 minutes, she said. Night shift. She stayed standing. Doyle stopped my brother after I left the hospital. Same phrase. Visible nervousness. My brother has a tremor. Victor found the file. Complaint signed by you. And dismissed by Sergeant Keene. I sent video. Nobody watched it. Keene was brought in at 6:05 p.m., wedding ring turned inward. She saw the folders and stopped. Victor said, Do you recognize these? Complaints come through every department. These all involve Doyle. I supervised many officers. Rachel slid one document forward. Your signature, your closure, your statement that Bodycam review showed no misconduct. Keene stared at the page. June said, There was no Bodycam file on 3 of them. Ethan pushed his cup away. You told me reports protect the department. Keene's mouth opened. Nothing came. Maya placed her father's photograph beside the first folder. These people are not paperwork. Samuel touched his cap to his chest. Angela looked at her tote. Keene reached for the nearest file, but Rachel stopped her with one finger. Not anymore, Rachel said. Now every signature stays where it is. Outside the window, the folders remained in a long line, each one waiting for a name to be spoken aloud. At 10:06 a.m., the verdict form lay face down in front of Judge Mercer. The courtroom had changed since the first hearing. Extra chairs lined the wall. Samuel Price held his transit cap on his knee. Angela Morris kept her purple lunch tote under her chair. Lena Hart stood near the door. Maya sat beside Naomi, the old photograph between them. All rise, the clerk said. Doyle stood late in a gray suit that did not fit his shoulders. He did not look toward Maya. Judge Mercer unfolded the paper. It rasped in the quiet. On falsifying an official report, guilty. On evidence tampering, guilty. On official misconduct, guilty. No one clapped. No one cheered. A woman in the back exhaled once and covered her mouth. Doyle's attorney touched his sleeve. Doyle pulled away. Your Honor, I served this city for 17 years. Mercer looked over her glasses. This is not the time for a speech. It was one stop. Victor stood. Respectfully, Your Honor, it was not. Doyle turned, not to Maya, but to the rows behind her. Samuel's cap bent under his fingers. Angela stared at the floor. Naomi slid her hand over Maya's. During recess, the hallway smelled of floor wax and winter coats. Lena stepped close with the folded diner receipt. I should have stepped out sooner, she said. You stepped out. After. This mattered because you kept it, Maya said. Now sign the statement attached to it. Inside, Keene was called before the bench. She wore no uniform. The pale mark where her badge had rested showed on her belt. You entered a cooperation agreement with the Integrity Office, Mercer said. Yes, Your Honor. You are no longer employed by Greyhaven Police Department. No. And you will testify in prior arrest reviews. Yes. Ethan Brooks watched from the aisle. Keene passed him on her way down. He said, You could have stopped it. She looked at him. So could you. The words stayed between them. Ethan's hand went to his report folder and stopped. Mercer returned to Doyle. Your service does not erase what the recording showed. A badge is not a private permission slip. It is a public trust. Doyle stared at the table. Sentence is 48 months in state custody, followed by supervised release, loss of certification, and restitution hearings. The deputy moved beside him. There was no shout, no struggle, only the scrape of a chair and the side door closing behind a place that had gone empty. Maya watched the defendant's chair. Naomi whispered, "Mom?" Maya did not answer at once. Her eyes moved to Samuel, Angela, Lena, June, and Ethan, standing apart from the uniforms. Victor came to her side. The first dismissals are ready. How many? 5 today. More next week. Samuel stood too fast. His cap fell. Ethan picked it up and held it out. Samuel looked at Maya. Does mine have a chance? It has a date, Victor said. Tomorrow morning. Samuel pressed the cap to his chest. Maya lifted the photograph. Her father's bent corner caught the courtroom light. Naomi touched it. He would have stayed until the last case. Maya looked at the closed door. Then we stay. Across the room, the defendant's chair remained empty, but the bench behind Maya began to fill with people holding folders. At 6 p.m., Greyhaven City Hall smelled of wet wool, old carpet, and copier toner. Maya stood at the front table with Victor Hale beside her. 12 complaint folders sat under one clean protocol packet. The white page covered Doyle's stained file, hiding half the coffee ring, but not all of it. Council Chair Denise Waller adjusted the microphone. Ms. Ellison, the city is prepared to discuss compensation and a formal apology. Maya rested 2 fingers on the packet. I'm here for procedures. A councilman shifted. Those are under internal review. Internal review, let these folders sleep in drawers. Samuel Price sat in the 3rd row with his cap. Angela Morris had her purple lunch tote at her feet. Lena Hart stood near the wall. Ethan Brooks wore a plain shirt. Denise leaned closer. What exactly are you asking for? Independent Bodycam storage, preservation for disputed searches, 2 signature evidence transfers, public complaint numbers with closure reasons, a review panel with someone who never wore your badge. That's expensive, someone muttered. Maya turned a page. Paper whispered under fluorescent light. So were the arrests. Victor placed 5 dismissal orders beside the folders. Only the first. Denise tapped her pen once. Officer Brooks? Ethan stood. I signed a chain log I knew was wrong. I wrote a note they told me to remove. If edits had been locked, this meeting might have happened before Ms. Ellison was cuffed. A councilman said, You're blaming policy for your choice. No, sir. Bad policy made the wrong choice easy. Lena raised her hand halfway. A witness should be able to send video without walking into the same building as the officer. Angela lifted her tote. Complaints need receipts. My brother waited months. We got nothing but a stamp. Samuel spoke without standing. I kept route sheets for 31 years. Your department kept less proof than I did. Rain clicked against the tall windows. Outside, patrol lights slid by and left blue stripes across the seal. We cannot rebuild every policy tonight, Denise said. Then sign the ones that stop evidence from moving in the dark, Maya answered. The city attorney whispered to Denise. She pushed the microphone aside. Some will say this city is being forced. No, Maya said. It is being given a record before it chooses. The attorney slid the packet forward. Denise signed first. The pen scratched hard at the bottom of the page. One by one, the others followed. The new signatures lay across the old complaint folder. Victor exhaled. "We'll monitor implementation." Maya looked at Denise. "Monthly reports. Public." Denise held her gaze. "Monthly." Naomi waited by the exit with Maya's rain jacket folded over one arm. The repaired seam showed where the camera had been removed. "You got them to sign," Naomi said. Maya took the jacket but did not put it on. "They signed paper. That counts. It starts." Ethan approached. "I'm applying out of Greyhaven. Integrity Training Unit." Maya handed him the old chain log copy. "Start with this." Outside, rain had thinned to mist. On the table behind them, the signed protocol still rested on Doyle's old folder, and the coffee ring was not the darkest mark on the page. 3 months after the rain, Maya and Naomi climbed the courthouse steps at 8:15 a.m. with no cameras waiting. The stone held the nights cold. Naomi carried an envelope. Maya carried the old photograph of her father. Its bent corner had never straightened. "You sure you want to do it here?" Naomi asked. Maya looked at the doors where her father stood after shifts. He would understand paperwork better than flowers. Naomi took out the dismissal order. Samuel Price's name sat near the top. Under it was the sentence he had waited 2 years to read. "Case dismissed." Maya placed the photograph on the step. Naomi set the order beside it. Morning light crossed both. Samuel arrived in his transit cap. "I didn't know if I should come close," he said. "It's your paper," Maya answered. He touched the order. "My granddaughter can see this?" "Yes." He held the cap to his chest. "Then that's enough for today." By noon, Greyhaven released its first public complaint report. Numbers, dates, closure reasons, and an outside reviewer's signature. June Patel's name appeared at the bottom as Records Compliance Officer. Ethan Brooks, now assigned to state training, stood in the back until a cadet asked what courage looked like in a report. "It looks like the sentence you fear writing," Ethan said. Across town, Lena Hart taped a card near the diner register. Witness recordings may be sent directly to the review office. Her manager said it made customers uncomfortable. "So did watching from the window," Lena said. Angela Morris received a letter reopening her brother's case during a night shift. She read it beside the vending machines, the purple lunch tote at her feet, then called him before sunrise. The updates on Doyle and Keene came quietly. Doyle began serving his sentence and lost his certification permanently. Keene, no longer with the department, appeared twice under oath and identified reports she had closed without review. Her cooperation did not erase her signatures. It only helped reopen the doors behind them. On a wet Friday in March, Maya returned to City Hall for the first monthly audit. Victor Hale slid the report toward her. 26 evidence transfers rejected for missing second authorization, he said. 8 complaints reopened. 3 officers retrained. 1 supervisor reassigned. Maya read the lines twice. "And the storage system? Independent server goes live Monday." Denise Waller cleared her throat. "Ms. Ellison, the city would like to add your name to the policy." Maya closed the folder. "No." "Why not?" "Name it after the people who filed complaints before anyone listened." Victor nodded. Denise wrote that down. That evening, Maya and Naomi walked back to the courthouse steps. The rain had stopped, but water still clung to the railings. Naomi handed her the repaired jacket. The camera seam was empty now, just a neat line of darker thread. "You never told me if you were scared," Naomi said. Maya ran her thumb over the stitching. "I was busy remembering details." "That's not an answer. It's the one I could afford then. Naomi leaned her head against Maya's shoulder. Neither moved away. On the step, the old photograph rested beside another dismissal order. The bent corner lifted in the small wind, then settled back down. Maya touched it gently. The red light was gone, but the record remained. If this story made you think of a moment when someone's dignity was ignored, share it in the comments. Your voice may help someone else feel less alone. Send this story to a person who believes justice is not only about one verdict, but about changing the rules that allowed harm to happen in the first place. And if you want more stories about quiet strength, difficult truth, and the kind of courage that changes systems instead of chasing revenge, subscribe and stay with us. Every story here is a reminder that the record matters, witnesses matter, and sometimes the person who speaks softly is the one who finally makes the room listen.